Welcome to our next lesson. We're going to make a two-player game called Pong. It's a basic bat and ball game. So the first thing we're going to need to do is start a new project. So click New and we're in our usual area. So we double click here and we've got our playing area. I now need to decide on the objects we're going to put into our game. So I'll show you where I got those from. So it's Games, Miscellaneous, and Game Objects 2. It's got a nice selection of bat and ball. So I'll drag the two I'm going to use over. It's up to you which ones you pick. You don't have to just pick these ones. You can make your own. You can go and look further in the library for more. So if I rotate them, you do that by clicking it 3 times, not rapidly. So there's the first one, not quite as straight as it should be, so that'll do that, and then that and the ball there. So there's our main game objects. We need to put some movements on now, so we need to go to the player and we need to make it 8 directions, but in Pong it only moves up and down, so there's our movement done. And the same again here, we need to go to movement, 8 directions, and only move it up and down. So that's our movement done. So if we try to run the game now, you'll notice that when I press it up and down, we've got an issue because they're both moving with the up and down keys, and we want it to be a 2-player game. So we've said this is player 1 and this is player 2. So to make things easier, I'm going to insert an object and I'm going to go down to text and I'm going to put a string in, put it here. I'm going to call this side player 1. And I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to call this player 2. And probably resize that. So that'll be player 1 and this will be player 2. I might as well insert a score now as well. So if I put the score there. And you don't always have to right click and do insert. If you double click a blank area, you'll automatically open up the insert object for you. So there's the second player's score. So we've now got 2 players, but we've got 1 set of movement. So if I click this and we look, it says player 1 here. And if I click this one, it says player 1 again. I need to change that to player 2. Now, the only issue is, if I run it again, they're still moving because I haven't assigned a separate set of keys. And so, to do that, we need to go into our settings, and I think it's in application. And if you go into application, you'll see lots of things in here. So I'm in application, I'm going into, there's lots of areas we can work in, but I'm interested in the runtime options. And if you notice, a few people have asked in the past, how do I change the number of lives? You change it there. But we want to change our default controls for our game. So we click Edit, and you see we're interested in the keyboard. We can have 4 players, we don't want that. So if I click this one, so if I click player 2 keyboard, you'll notice you've got the up and down arrow. Well, that would be for the right hand side player, this one, so we'd leave those alone. So if we click player 1, we'll change up to Q and we'll change down to A. And we've now assigned different keyboard controls. So if I run F8, up only moves that one, and then the arrows, and then Q moves this one, Q and A. So we've now got our game up and running. But it doesn't do anything yet, the ball doesn't move around, so we need to click the ball, And what will our ball movement be? We'll just make it a bouncing ball. So if we run our game again, you notice the ball did move, but it just gone straight off the screen. So something we've done lots of times. Now we've got our playing area set up, we probably need to investigate stopping the ball flying off the screen. So Control and E, and we need to put our first condition in. So that will be a condition on the ball, and it'll be, what will it be? It'll be test position. So I've gone into new condition, right clicked and gone to position, test position, and I'm going to do only the top and the bottom, because in Pong, if the ball goes off the left or the right, that means you've scored a point. So we'll click OK. So, and what are we going to do? We're going to say if it hits the side wall, we want it to bounce. So if we test our game, we do F8, and you'll see it bounces, but it's gone off the screen now. So it'll keep bouncing off screen, and then once it hits the side wall off screen, it'll come back in, but we're not really in much control there. So, and if you notice, it seems to be stuck now, and that's something we need to look at later on. So we've got our bat and ball bouncing around, but once it does hit our bat, it doesn't actually do anything. So we want the ball to bounce off. So we need to do a collision, and we're used to doing collisions. So we'll make a new one, and we'll say bat 2. And let's remind ourselves which one is what. The green is player 1. So Control E. So a new condition. So we need a collision with another object, and it'll be the ball. And so if the ball collides with player 1, what do we want it to do? We want it to bounce. And if we do another one, and this time player 2, collision with another object, and this time it'll be the ball. So if we click OK, and then again, we've already got a bounce rule, so a tip for you is you can just drag that down and it'll be the same again there. So if I press F8 to test our game, okay, I missed it, so let's try it again. So we'll go to F8, and you'll notice the ball's bouncing up and down, and it's bounced off now. So we've got the makings of our game. So we'll end with that lesson where we'll put some new conditions in, where if the ball leaves the screen, it'll up the score and it'll restart the game. So that'll be the end of this lesson. In the next lesson, we'll tighten up the controls on the game.